Welcome back. We are live one and all yet again here on Johnny Torch Live number 22. We're going to tackle this week in comic book television today. The Justice League trailer dropped earlier today, as you probably know, but we're not going to cover that tonight. Too much to tackle today for one broadcast, and this would probably go on for over 2 hours. And plus, in case you don't know, the Last Jedi trailer is going to drop tomorrow night during Monday Night Football. And so it's probably going to be better for me to just tackle both trailers in a Torch News roundup that may or may not be live, but I'm going to save that for possibly tomorrow night. Don't want to make any promises. Maybe it'll take 2 nights because I'll have to. It's difficult because I try to get some images up so that you can see the, or at least still images of the trailer, and they're not very plentiful yet for Justice League, so chances are they're not going to be any more plentiful for The Last Jedi, and thus I might wait another day. But I think probably the Star Wars trailers get a little more prominence with people creating screen caps and stuff. So, so how have you been? Let me know. Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments below. Let me know in the chat room if anyone's there. Uh, as usual, I'm going to still, even though this is Sunday, give you a brief edition of Johnny's NFL football picks of the week. Taking a look here briefly, last week I had a score of 9-7, 9-7 last week, making my season average 39-24. For those of you playing at home, let's see. This week, week 5 in the NFL, we got a bye week, so not as many games. First bye week of the season. I took the Patriots over the Buccaneers, of course, and they were lucky to win that game. Good heavens, the Buccaneers couldn't kick a field goal to save their lives. I took the Bills over the Bengals. That didn't work out so well. I took the Jets over the Browns. And over the Panthers. Kind of against my better judgment, but I was going with a underdog pick there. But they did keep it close. I went with the Colts over the 49ers. The Titans over the Dolphins. The Giants over the Chargers. Giants still can't get a win. Was it 5 losses in a row? But he's probably on the hot seat. Chargers getting their first win. It was another team that was desperate for a win. Eagles over the Cardinals I took. I took the Steelers over the Jags. And that was a disaster as well. I took the Rams over the Seahawks. I took the Ravens over the Raiders. I took the Packers over the Cowboys, and they just won just moments ago. As a matter of fact, this broadcast was delayed by about 2 minutes while I was waiting to see the final outcome of the game. But an exciting game, a pretty good game overall. I was trying to watch it as I was putting together this live show. I'm taking the Chiefs over the Texans, and on Monday night I'm going with the Vikings over the Bears. So we will see how I do next week on Johnny's NFL football picks of the week. And I will try to put a timestamps in the description. I've been doing that lately because, like I said, I don't think I have a lot of sports fans checking out the channel. So if you want to skip over the football picks, I'll just make it convenient for you to just click the appropriate time. In the same way, I'm going to on Hell in a Cell, which is going to be kicked off, if not already kicked off. Let's see here. Okay. All right, these are my picks for Hell in a Cell WWE. All right, the first matchup. Well, this is not the first matchup. This is, I suppose, the main event, but I'm just reading the card as they have it written. Well, I'll start with the kickoff. The kickoff. Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin versus the Hype Brothers. I am gonna go with Gable and Benjamin there because, on the one hand, I think Gable needs a win. They've been hyping him up, and he's been losing to the better talent, of course, like The Miz and Roman Reigns and so forth. So they're probably going to want to give him a win. Also, the Hype Brothers have been like teasing a breakup, And this might be the best place for the Catalyst to have them break up, or maybe have them go heel. I don't know, but I have a pretty strong feeling the Hype Brothers are going to lose. All right, let's see. We've got also. I'll take them backwards, I guess, and this is probably in order of importance. Randy Orton taking off Rusev. Um, gonna go with Randy Orton there. I mean, Rusev always loses pretty much. He's a little bit more fortunate than Bray Wyatt, I suppose, but never really does very well. So RKO out of nowhere. Randy Orton's gonna win. Same thing here with Dolph Ziggler versus Bobby Roode. Dolph Ziggler, they won't give him a win for some reason. I like the fact that they're kind of breaking kayfabe and having him say this stuff out loud, like nobody respects him, everybody takes him for granted. He's a great worker, but he's not really getting anywhere in the business. And they're, sort of playing that up because it's true. I'm a big fan of Dolph Ziggler. I think he should get another title run. He's easily on par with the Miz, and they just stick that belt on the Miz indefinitely. I mean, nothing against the Miz, but he doesn't really have the charisma to me to be a long-term champion and just hold on to that belt for like 8 months at a time. Personally, I would like to see Ziggler have a like an Intercontinental title run again, or maybe a USA title run. But anyhow, I'm going Ziggler over Bobby Roode. Bobby Roode is sort of like an emerging star here. I don't watch NXT or any of that stuff, so I don't really know too much about his previous exploits. But I do know one thing: Bobby Roode is sort of he's like every Queen song brought to life. I always complain about the theme songs for some of these guys, like and I don't know, some of these guys, the more recent guys, they got terrible songs, I say, but Rude does have a pretty good song, "Glorious." Um, Let me check my notes here. Let's see, what do we got? All right, we got the U.S. Championship, AJ Styles versus. I almost fell over. Excuse me if that sounded a little awkward. That's what happens when you reach for something on a chair that is too far away from what you were reaching for. Okay. AJ Styles champion versus Baron Corbin for the United States Championship. Should be very easy unless they're setting up something with shenanigans. AJ Styles should win this one pretty easily. The women's championship, Natalya versus Charlotte Flair. I'm kind of happy for Natalya that they, throw her bone once in a while because she's, sort of a journeyman, so to speak. It's nice to give her a little incentive every once in a while to just keep being a good worker. But they're going to give it back to Charlotte. Personally, as usual, I always say, um, why isn't Becky Lynch getting this belt? I don't know why they haven't given her another title run since her initial one, which wasn't really that spectacular because she was outshone by Alexa Bliss. But I think they want to make Charlotte. It's pretty obvious now. They want to make Charlotte the female version of Ric Flair. Going to be like a 20-time belt holder by the time her reign comes to an end. And I think that was the purpose of the Sasha Banks trading the belt back and forth last year. So I'm going with Charlotte there. The SmackDown Tag Team Championship Hell in a Cell match. The New Day champions versus the Usos. I love this rivalry. I think it's a lot of fun because it's you got the gangster Usos going up against the power of positivity with the New Day. I like this rivalry. I hope it doesn't go anywhere for a while. Gotta go with the New Day though. I don't see them taking it off the New Day again for the Usos. Um, the New Day's pretty much where it's at in tag teams. I mean, I'm trying to think in Raw. It's gotten so stale. I mean, it's Cesaro and Sheamus, or Cesaro and Fame, because of Cesaro's tooth injury there. Not to make light of it, but it's pretty funny. Uh, Speaking of Raw, yeah, the Shield looks like it's getting back together. At the end of Raw last week, it looks like uh, Seth and Dean Ambrose are going to Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose are going to extend the olive branch to Roman Reigns, and apparently, he's going to take it. I like the idea. I'm all for it. I think it'll be fun. I wasn't watching wrestling during the original run of the Shield, so I don't really know what to expect. But everybody hates on Roman Reigns, and Seth is kind of better as a heel, and Dean Ambrose is Dean Ambrose. So I think in this kind of situation where you got the three of them, it'll probably make everybody come out better. To get back to the score here, to the card, the Hell in the Cell match: Shane McMahon versus Kevin Owens. That's the image we've got up there. Shane only wrestles like once or twice a year, and he usually wins. I don't think he's going to win this one because that makes it kind of predictable. Also, they want to keep the heat on Kevin Owens. I think making him a serious threat in the division. You don't do that by just having a part timer take him out. Although it's always interesting when something like this happens. I mean, the whole impetus of this thing was him, well, originally disrespecting Shane, but then headbutting Vince McMahon. A very famous looking image there. So to see him not get his comeuppance after that seems strange, but this is WWE after all. So I'm going Kevin Owens with the Hell in a Cell match. Falls count everywhere, which I don't understand how that works in a Hell in a Cell match because I thought you can't get out of the cell. It's only when you win the match can the doors be open, something like that. Maybe I'm wrong. All right, and the championship, the heavyweight championship, the prestigious heavyweight championship, Jinder Mahal, the champ, versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Not a big fan of either of these two, to be totally honest with you. Nakamura's got a little more potential. I think everybody was tired of Jinder after the first 2 weeks. I mean, they're giving him a long reign. I don't know. He could, extend his reign even longer, but Nakamura wins it, especially after the racial tensions because he was making racial jokes and against Nakamura. They're probably setting him up for a big fall, Jinder. So, and Nakamura, they want to probably put the belt on Nakamura instead of, because I thought originally the feud between Randy Owens would have ended with Randy Orton getting the belt. But since that didn't happen, they're probably going to put it on Nakamura, I imagine. Unless, of course, this could be built up to a bigger battle where you have um, shenanigans going on with the Singh brothers and stuff. So I could see Jinder winning, but um, the problem with that is it's like Nakamura isn't, he can't really speak English. So it's difficult to see him being champ, you know, for any long amount of time. I mean, you might not like Jinder, but he can speak the language, and it's difficult to get some heat on these guys if they can't do a promo that good. I mean, that's not to say Nakamura is awful, but I mean, you really need to be on your A game to being the heavyweight champion. All right, so there's our WWE segment for the week, the Hell in the Cell matches. All right, let's see. So we're doing this week in comic book television. The shows are starting up. There's a lot, and there's going to be even more next week. I don't know how I'm going to get through this every week. I suppose I can't make any promises that I'll be able to review effectively each and every show, but we're going to try. So, with that said, let me also wish you a happy Columbus Day weekend. This is Columbus Day weekend, and we honor Christopher Columbus, Italian, that in 1492. And we are not politically correct here, so we are going to say that. Okay, what should we start with? What is everybody interested in? You want to hear about the Gifted, don't you? Because trying to find the Gifted, they're not. They didn't put it on demand. I don't know why. And I waited all week to see if they would put it on demand, and they haven't. At least on my local provider here. So I had to go to the Fox website to see it, which I don't really have anything against watching it on the Fox website. I'd rather see it on demand because on the Fox website, it's like as if I'm watching AOL dial-up in 2003. You know what I mean? It was just buffering, and some scenes were blurry during the action and stuff. So I tried to I wanted to do a video in a timely manner like I did last week with the Inhumans, but it wasn't to be. So even though I'm a little late to the party, let's talk some The Gifted. All right, first off, um, effects and the mutant makeup were pretty good, pretty darn good for a television show. And this is like the show that Marvel Studios wish they could make, and playing around with the Inhumans, both on Agents of Shield and on the actual show Inhumans, trying to build up this kind of universe. And and it feels very much like Fox's version of Agents of Shield, where it feels like the show is happening on the fringes of the Fox X-Men film franchise. I mean, it feels like you could really imagine this series taking place at some point after, I don't know where we would place it, probably before Wolverine wakes up in the end of Days of Future Past. I don't know, but it just feels like it belongs in that universe. So that was pretty cool. All right, my main concern was basically for the family characters, because I think everybody wanted to tune in to see potential X-Men or C-list X-Men, which is basically what we got. No offense. Um, if I was really going to care about this family story and this and that, but I really was invested in the family and the characters. I thought they were all very capable actors. Of course, Amy Acker, I'm familiar with. Natalie Ann Lynn, I think is her name, plays the daughter here. I'm forgetting her name in the show, but she was on Gotham, so she was familiar to me. The actress, so she did pretty good. And of course, the actress playing Blink was also in Gotham. So we've got a little, you get a sense that they tried to, boost their stock and give them a decent show instead of just having them be ancillary characters on another show. Um, I liked the kid that played Andy. He's sort of the main, kind of the main protagonist of the show, I think. His getting bullied reminded me of Magneto's ordeals in the X-Men films, the original X-Men, and then the First Class, where it's sort of like, the pent-up rage is what triggers his mutation. Um, so, it makes you wonder if perhaps they'll give him a heel turn at some point. I don't know if they would go that far, but I mean that's interesting to see, especially since you see how close this family is, particularly the sister and brother characters, which I liked. I liked the fact that they were close and not, they had the squabbles and so forth like that. But I mean, afraid in this modern day to show siblings being close, and that's a shame that it's like that. But the show didn't shy away from it, so I was really happy about that. I like the universe. It was cool to be able to immerse yourself into the X-Men world of the comics, where you get to see the prejudices against the mutants, and it felt really authentic. The cartoons and stuff. This I think is a little more extreme than like the cartoons and stuff. Where in the cartoons it was always sort of more being ostracized. It's like, oh, those people over there are mutants. We don't associate with them. It's about it's about racism and bigotry in the comics. It's always been, but in this one, I don't think that mutants are allowed to even coexist legally. I think once you're found out to be a mutant, then it looks like you get carted away, and depending on the severity of your mutation, I suppose you might just get locked up for life. So this is even more of an extreme situation. Uh, so we come to the C-list X-Men, which I guess is pretty cool to see any depiction of the X-Men in live action on TV. I mean, who would have ever thought we were going to see any X-Men in a TV show? Marvel held the rights pretty much, and made a deal, which I don't really know what they got for that deal. Everybody was hoping and praying it was going to be they were going to get the FF back. It looks more like they just got Ego, the Living Planet, for Guardians of the Galaxy, which, I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of that movie, but I guess that was their trade-off. And I think they got a couple of other characters or something. I think they got Skrulls. They got the Skrulls from Fantastic Four for the Captain Marvel movie that's coming up. Well, Que sera, I guess. I really wish they would have given the characters their code names, though. That's probably my biggest gripe about the show, or my only gripe, really. They named Polaris, which incidentally was probably my favorite character. Um, they didn't say, but I believe she's going to be Magneto's daughter in this continuity, too. I didn't recognize Marcos, who I guess is her baby daddy. I'm not sure who he's supposed to be. In the comics, Polaris had a thing with Havoc, but I guess that's out because I guess if this is still tied to the continuity of the X-Men films, Havoc is playing Macgyver now, and so he died during the 80s and what have you. I don't know. I recognize some of the characters, of course, like Blink and John Proudstar. Um, but there's a reason the X-Men films started with Professor X introducing everybody in the first film. This is Scott, also called Cyclops, and this is Aurora, also called Storm, and so on. You want to get to know each character. You don't want to be just like, oh, that guy's name is John, I think. I don't know. They should have had a scene where at some point, maybe they will, I guess, in the second episode, where they say Proud Star and this is Marcos, whoever his character's name is supposed to be. I'm guessing the ongoing story is going to tease us with future appearances of the X-Men, but because they mentioned it several times. Well, whatever, 3 times. I think they said we don't know if the X-Men's still around, and that it's probably going to be as likely that they'll have A-list X-Men on the show as Agents of Shield were having their top tier heroes on the show. For instance, I doubt we're going to get Storm or Magneto or something. It's the same can of worms that Legion opened up, though. Really, where now we'll keep waiting for Patrick Stewart to show up on that show, and there's no real guarantee that he will. Like we're probably going to be hoping against hope that we're going to see Magneto show up with Polaris or something like that. But there's no guarantee that they'll get Sir Ian McKellen or even Michael Fassbender. But I imagine in this continuity would probably be someone about the age of Sir Ian. Um, you probably will get maybe uh, a third tier level hero like Ages of Shield got Sif and what was the other guy's name there? Deathlock, and the third incarnation of Ghost Rider. But I don't know if we're going to get any of the main actors on the show. I can see maybe Daniel Cudmore as Colossus showing up, maybe something like that. Possibly Sean Ashmore, I believe, as Iceman. Maybe you might see something like that. I don't know. I would love to see James Marsden Cyclops. Uh, if you didn't hear my video on the top 20 greatest superhero actors, he did make the cut because I would love to see him get the spotlight, James Marsden as Cyclops. It would be so great to see him getting a major role as sort of the wise old hand at this point. He's like the wise, not really old because, he's not that old at this point. I don't know how old he is in real life, but I mean, he's going to be the experienced hand that's telling these younger guys, look, this is what we do, follow my lead, and this is going to, this is going to lead the charge if you get behind me. So that'd be cool. So yeah, that was great. I really enjoyed the show. I love the Stan Lee cameo. The Stan Lee cameo. I loved seeing Stan again. They care if they go for the Stan Lee cameo. And Fox doesn't always go for the Stan Lee cameo. That's what surprised me about it because Fox, I think they gave him a cameo twice, right? In the films. It was the first one, of course, and The Last Stand. Brett Ratner, out of all people, brought him in for a cameo. So you know that the show is in good hands when they're trying to really stick by. And the X-Men cartoon ringtone. Are you kidding? I loved it. That was great. And the callback to that animated series. So yeah, we got to move on. But I really enjoyed the show. I'm looking forward to seeing it next week. That's another reason why I had to make sure I got this video out now because I'm really late with this video. Next episode airs tomorrow. So yeah, I'll give The Gifted pilot 4.5 stars out of 5. That's 4.5 stars out of 5. Um, if I was to be totally honest, I probably enjoyed the first hour of the Inhumans better. Oh, what am I saying? What am I saying? Because I really enjoy those characters, and I think they did right by them, but by at least the first hour. The problem is the second hour of that 2-hour pilot really went downhill fast, and that's why this gets the extra half point. Um, I would say this is probably a B plus, where the Inhumans pilot was 4 stars out of 5 and a B minus. I think they have some room to grow, but it's a great show, and I think it will, you know, only get better as time goes on. Especially another thing, yeah, I wanted to point out was the Sentinel program in this. You could tell they're starting small because it's a TV show, and you really can't they did good with the like I said with the effects considering it's a TV show, but you could tell it's a small scale Sentinel thing, and I think as the show goes on, you're going to see the threats develop, in greater intensity. So they're starting off with like little spider drones now. I'm pretty sure by the end of, maybe the second season, we're going to see some kind of, I don't want to say a huge Sentinel, but they'll probably, advance to the state of, something worthwhile, something more decent than that. All right, so that was Fox's The Gifted. It's a lot of fun. We mentioned the Inhumans, so let's get back to that now. This is episode 3, technically, even though the show's only been on for 2 weeks. Let's see. Episode 3. What is it called? That which would divide us? I'm not sure. All right. This is Mortis. We got a picture of here, Mortis, up on the screen. I thought he was the best part of the show, of the episode. And again, I know nothing about him from the comics. I'm not that familiar with the Inhumans. He looks like the Beetle. Remember from Spider-Man, the Beetle, his villain, except without the wings on his back. But he has the cool look. He's got a cool voice. He's got cool powers. Like we were talking about Gotham a couple of weeks ago, or didn't have a cool voice. That's half the battle, and I think they gave Mortis a real cool voice for this. And yeah, so Gorgon was getting his surfer buddies ready for battle, which was moderately interesting. I thought that was reasonably interesting. I can't remember the captain of the guard's name who got killed last week is back because she doesn't die apparently. I'm not sure how that works. Like I said, I'm not that familiar with it. Medusa is still wandering around the island of Hawaii. And Serinda Swan's a good actress, but there really isn't much to the subplot. And so thankfully they brought her with Louise by the end of the episode. But this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to have all the Inhumans go their separate ways so that we can build them back together as a unit. So I can see what they're trying to do. I still don't think it was a real smart move because you can tell it seems like they're purposely holding back the budget. It's like we got rid of Medusa's hair. Karnak lost his powers, even though his powers really probably weren't that expensive to portray. Um, Black Bolt can't use his powers on fear of killing somebody, So um, it's just that's what's making it feel kind of stretched out, and that's to me it feels like I'm jumping all over the place with my notes here, but it feels like the Netflix shows in a sense where they seem to be boiling the pot excessively. It's like we're going to take everybody out in a different direction and stretch this out as much as possible before we bring them back together and show you the meat and potatoes that you wanted to see. You know, and I guess that's because what's the name of the showrunner? It's the same showrunner. Let me see. I think I got it in here in the notes. Scott Buck. Uh, he did the same thing, I guess, with uh, Iron Fist, where the protagonist is like put in a mental institution for the first 2-3 episodes. And the same thing happened here with Black Bolt. He's got to be put in prison for the first couple episodes because we don't know what else to do with him while we're trying to, set up the situation, set up the dominoes. Why was he in the federal pen, by the way? I mean, did he get a trial and everything? Black Bolt? I didn't really get that. That seemed like it happened awful fast because I don't know. Maybe it just was so underwhelming. But what was the altercation he had that got him put in jail? I forget. Um he was struck by behind in the back, and his a force blast there knocked over a car or something. I don't know. And then they beat him within an inch of his life. I don't remember him being like this humongous threat. So it just seemed very. I thought it was a terrible subplot, and I'm glad they moved past that in just 2 episodes, and presumably will move forward now. He meets another human. The he meets another inhuman, excuse me, in the prison. Hawaiian dude. I don't know what his name was. Maui. It looks like Maui. We'll just call him Maui. And he's sort of like the Inhumans version of Diablo from Suicide Squad. Flame powers in his hands or something, and he accidentally killed his family because he set the house on fire. Same thing basically there. So I don't know where that plot line's going, but I guess that's interesting. Um, Also, let's see. Let's talk about Karnak for a minute. Karnak was getting in trouble too. He's on some like pot field or something where a couple of, I don't know, undesirables or whatever are growing pot or something. I That's another thing that kind of went past me. I'm not sure exactly what their thing is. The guy, the main heavy or whatever that tied up Karnak, and suggested that they kill him. He seemed like he was doing like, I don't know, some kind of, you know had a diamond mine or something. I mean, dude, if you're growing pot, I don't think you're gonna make a mint. I don't think you have to worry about I don't know what was going on. Like I said, it's kind of underwhelming. This episode was pretty much underwhelming. Karnak is kind of ingratiating himself with those gonna happen. His powers might come back. I don't know. One of the more interesting things, of course, because it had to do with Adelan, was Maximus. Maximus, he's got the kid that can see the future. I didn't mention him in the original pilot review, which is interesting because I don't know where that's going. I have a feeling that's going to be one of those things where he's going to come back to be some kind of important person in this show, like cause Maximus's downfall. I don't know, but that was interesting. So Maximus was depending on Crystal to stand by him in front of the leading council or whatever, and not surprisingly, she double crosses him. That was pretty obvious. And she finds Lockjaw and gets away to Earth, where they meet up with what will presumably be Crystal's hunky Johnny Storm substitute. Because, as I said in my pilot review, they have to match her with somebody. That's pretty much Crystal's whole storyline in the comics, in the original comics, was that she's the Juliet of the Inhumans. She falls in love with a human, and they have to be separated and they have to be apart. So I knew something like this was coming. Obviously, this guy is not going to be an Inhuman. He's not going to have powers or anything, so he's not going to be as cool as Johnny Storm and the Human Torch. But you can see how that's being set up. I thought the flashbacks were, again, the highlight of the show. I really enjoy the flashbacks. I mean, they're brief, but we saw Maximus and how he was transformed from an Inhuman to merely that of a human. Doesn't have any powers. He's made human. I remember that from the comics too. That was a strange situation where like he's like the only Inhuman where his power is being a human, which is basically having no power at all. And we also learned Black Bolt. We saw the moment where they learned Black Bolt could no longer speak. Now I wanted to point that out because Black Bolt had that power from birth. I remember the issue, and I can't remember the number, verbatim, but where they showed that he as a baby crying was like shattering buildings and stuff. And so I don't really know when they changed it, where it's the Terrigenesis and you have to come out of a cocoon and then you get your powers and stuff like that. That might have been something they did just to try to make it like mutants, where they, like we just saw in the Gifted, where they get their mutations, at a preteen age. So okay, well, let's see. Wrapping it up here now. Let's see. Yeah, I liked the again, it's the Maximus. I like him as a character the most. I still think they should let him rant and rail a little bit more. He's supposed to be Maximus the Mad, and he seems like he's got the most plausible storyline in the show. I mean, he the lower class out of the working minds and stuff, and bring them up to society and so forth. I mean, this doesn't seem like a madman's plan. I mean, he's ruthless in that he doesn't care what he does to his family, and he's trapping them, in all four corners of the earth. But they're not really pushing his villainy enough. I mean, what has he really done? I mean, he's sedated Lockjaw and Roma. It's not really exactly the most compelling villainy. The actor has good chops to play that if they give it to him. It's a very Thor-esque storyline. Like I said, it should be like that anyway, where um, he's like Loki, and he doesn't really want to kill, I don't think, anybody as much as he just wants them out of his way so he can get the throne. And yeah, so as the show ended, we had Medusa. She's just wandering around Hawaii in some dude's home or something, and you know, kind of boring. But and then she winds up running into Louise, and this is and at the end she tries to save Black Bolt from the prison, but she runs into Louise, and I I am still just like fed up with Louise. I mean, I don't understand what they're trying to do with her. They're making her like this terrible Felicity substitute, and she's really a hot babe in real life. And most depressing things to me is when they try to get a hot actress and just make her look as homely as humanly possible. That's not to say like Felicity is homely. I mean, I actually think Emily Bett Rickards looks as good with the glasses and the ponytail as she does, in real life when she, doesn't look like that. But in this case, she looks like so unkempt and I don't know. I mean, I'm seriously getting triggered over this. This is the way Ellen Woglum really looks in real life. She takes a good picture maybe and it's flattering, but to be honest with you, why can't she look like this on the show? I mean, this is just, it's depressing. It's disappointing to me. Uh, I was looking forward to this character, and it's just she's been such a blah character, both in looks and attitude. I mean, what has she done so far? She's sitting in a car and just watching for. I don't know. Does she even know what she's watching for? I don't think she even knew what she was watching for. But yeah, get Ellen Woglum, a stylist, get her looking like she's supposed to look. She's supposed to be looking like this, a hot babe. And and don't take jobs away from ugly actresses. If you wanted an ugly actress for the role, or let's say a plain actress for the role, get a plain actress for the role. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of them out there that need the money, that want to act, and you're taking a job away from them. You know what I mean? That's like how CW does it in reverse, where it's like they took Amanda Waller instead of making her obese and unpleasant looking. they made her a hot chick, and you just don't do that. You hire a homely person for a homely role. You hire, I mean, that's Davis, of course. She played Amanda Waller in Suicide Squad. She not homely, but you get the idea what I'm saying. It's the greatest crime in the world where you take an attractive actress and you try to make her look homely. I mean, come on, dude. You know that's wrong deep down in your heart of hearts. That's wrong. Her. So that's my rant for today. And before I get any more triggered, um, we're just gonna move on. But suffice to say, Inhumans, like it's rough going. I don't hate the show as much as everybody else. I think a lot of people have just written it off already, and they don't want to even tune in for the rest of it. But I think it's only 8 episodes. We'll be able to get through it. I don't think it's that bad. I mean, where I don't want to sit and watch it anymore, because there was a lot of times during Gotham, nice segue coming up, where I didn't want to sit and watch it anymore. And I was like, this close to just turning it off forever and saying, that's it. But I'm not feeling that with Inhumans. It just needs to get kicked into gear. Like I said, right now they're boiling the pot. Get the Inhumans together. Give us a storyline that's worthwhile. Inhumans back in costume. I mean, Black Bolt wearing their suit and tie. You know, I mean that's like seeing the Daredevil in suit and tie. Well, I guess that's what goes on in Netflix. Actually, he does a lot of his action in suit and tie. So I'm not entirely thrilled with the Marvel Studios because of things like that. Um, the Gifted might have a chance to break out of that if they can actually do something with the X-Men. But anyhow, let's move on. I guess I said my piece about the Inhumans. If I was to put a number on this one, I'd say maybe 3.5 stars out of 5, because I'm gonna give a half star because the cool. I was gonna give 3 stars, but Mortis was cool, so I'm gonna give it extra half a star. Um, Sort of middle of the road right now. All right, but let's get on to Gotham. And I have to say, this is probably my favorite episode of the week of all the shows this week. Gotham. How often can I say that? How often have I said that? Maybe I think last season when it was the episode with Jerome, and they had him in the circus. Not the one where he was beating up Bruce Wayne or whatever, that fist fight there. That kind of left me cold, actually. I should have really been excited about that, because you see Batman and the Joker fighting proto identities or whatever, and I kind of didn't really feel it. I was like, yeah, no. But I like the one where he was where Barbara was his Harley substitute, kind of like Harley, and she was like doing the whole kitsy sidekick thing, and he was like pretending he was a magician or something. Anyway, but that was the last time I think I really enjoyed a Gotham episode, and I said it was the episode of the week. And so I'm going to give this one episode of the week. Yes, over the Gifted, over Inhumans. Um, Actually, we're even going to take a look at Macgyver after this. I know that's not a comic book show, but we're going to look at Macgyver every once in a while too, because I keep watching it. We're going to look at the first episode of the season, not last night's, because I didn't see last night's yet. Macgyver's probably going to run like a week late. I try to keep up to date with the rest of them, but it's going to be probably a week late with Macgyver, because it comes out on Friday, and I put the show together on Saturday. Sometimes I don't have time to watch it. Like I said, I spend a lot of afternoon watching The Gifted to try to eat. All right, so now let's start off with Jim Gordon. Now, I like that we went back to Falcone, who now is apparently dying, which, if that turns out to be the case, I'll be pretty disappointed, because I always liked the actor. And I like the mob's role in the show, at least in the first season. They kind of cut that out like really quick. They killed Maroney. I thought that was the biggest mistake they made. They killed Maroney very, very fast. He didn't even make it through the first half of the first season. And it should be a bigger part, I think, in Gotham. They want to focus on the freaks, because that's what people tune in to see. They don't tune in to see gangsters. Otherwise, you'll watch, whatever gangster shows out now. I would say The Sopranos, but that's over, whatever. But it's almost non-existent, the mob in Gotham now, which is sort of what everybody expected that the mob would be, the main villains, because the freaks only come usually, typically in the story after Bruce becomes Batman, and it's sort of like a higher class of criminal, to quote the Joker, comes out of the woodwork. So it looks like Jim's gonna take up with Falcone's hot Italian daughter. Yeah, that Sophia, I believe is her name, Sophia. And that Jim Gordon, he don't stay unattached for long. I'll tell you that much. He was Valerie Vale and Lee, and then of course Barbara. He seems like he's always got a hot chick. But um, it seems like Sophia, she's taking Mario's death pretty well, and I don't know if that's kind of refreshing, or if that is sort of like an elaborate ruse that's going to come out in the woodwork eventually. Uh, I don't know which I'd prefer. Perhaps maybe just let it go, and Mario's death or whatever. But I think she's planning to become a big operator in Gotham. She's going to take over Carmine's seat of power, so to speak. So I don't really put it past her, especially since they're not going to let him wind up with her, because it's not. they're gonna make him wind up with Lee. I think eventually she's gonna come back. Well, she's married to him in real life, so that probably tells you everything you need to know right there. It's funny. It seems like all the women in Gotham, apart from being incredibly hot, they all don't wear shirts. That seems to be the style, I guess, of Gotham. Although she was living in Barbados or wherever the heck it was, whatever. But I found that interesting. Barbara last week. I guess next week is probably going to be Tabitha's turn. I don't know. I don't know. Right. So the highlight of the show for me though was Bruce Wayne putting on the foppish disposition, the foppish demeanor, the famous, you know, Don Diego, shy, retiring, boisterous and loud, whatever manner you want to put it in. He got to do it in this episode, and Bruce got his first on the job injury that Alfred had to stitch up. His first undercover ruse, where he was playing like some I don't know, Brooklyn urchin or something. That was really funny, especially when Alfred came in. I really love the Bruce scenes this week. They really made the show for me, and we've come a long way in a relatively short amount of time. Now we got, you know, I don't know how old he's supposed to be. I think he's what 15 now, Bruce, and he's already like taking on almost all the characteristics of the adult Bruce Wayne and the Batman. And it's nice to see them, starting to embrace those things. Because what are you going to do? I mean, like I said, you don't have much of a show if you're going to sitting back and being homeschooled and you know there's no story there. And the auction scene was hilarious. I loved every minute of it. He's $5,001, whatever he was saying. he, he was just going nuts. And David Mazouz, he plays the character pretty well. I mean, you can tell he's having fun with it, but it's just an act for him. You know what I mean? He's still playing the reserved Bruce Wayne that he's been playing all along, but and he's just having fun with it as like I said, the millionaire brat version of Bruce Wayne. And the Penguin was great in this too. I mean, he didn't have a lot to do, but I mean the interactions between him and Bruce Wayne I thought were pretty fun because you don't really see those characters together too often, and in a way you shouldn't. But I thought the interactions were pretty fun. So Ed is finally free. Ed is been defrosted by a Riddler groupie of all things. I thought that was another thing that was pretty funny. I thought that she was pretty funny. I thought his trying to answer her riddles was pretty funny. Where he's going, what has, a face and no hands? He goes, a deformed baby. That was pretty good. That was pretty good. And I guess his brain hasn't defrosted yet, and so that's why you know, he's got to get his mojo back or whatever. And they brushed off the Riddler groupie pretty fast. I was surprised they brushed her off that fast. Zaz strikes again. He's always funny. He's always a treat. And he says, "Oh, I like the dress," before putting her out to pasture. It was pretty funny. What it is about the Riddler, where he attracts these girls look like they come from 1950s, like like Miss Kringle looked like she was from the 1950s, and this chick, she looked like she was like maybe from the late 1950s. I don't know, but it was funny. And all right, we also have the Ra's al Ghul origin, or the Ra's al Ghul, however you like to pronounce it. I always call him Ra's al Ghul. It's a story for another time because we got to be wrapping up pretty soon here. But I think it's fitting that Gotham shows Ra's al Ghul's origin in real life because. I mean, in live action, because I don't think we've ever seen it in live action, have we? Well, we had some of it in Batman Begins, I guess. So technically, I guess this isn't the first time, but this is the first time we hear about the Lazarus Pit and so forth in live action with Ra's al Ghul and how he, you know, used it for the first time and became, for all intents, immortal. And I'm not too familiar with his comic origin, so I found it pretty interesting. I don't know if that's really what happened. Some guy found him while he was dead on a battlefield or something, and one to pass the torch on to, so to speak. Um, Looks like Roz and Barbara got a little something going on the side. A little something something. Never really saw that side of Roz before. That's interesting. I mean, never really seen him as the romantic type. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen him with a chick in any incarnation. I mean, he's always just like looking out for his daughter and trying to get a successor and stuff. He never really is a ladies' man. And it seems like no one with us here. Um, Barbara still, she's kind of she's cool, I guess. I mean, I liked it better, like I said, when she was ditzy and crazy, but she's got the criminal mastermind thing working here, so it's interesting. We'll see what happens. And Selena, I thought it was cool that Selena was wearing a mask. I said that she was going to be wearing a costume pretty soon, so now she's got the cat suit and the mask. And the only thing she doesn't have is like the ears and the full Catwoman persona. But I mean, you can tell the thievery outfit she was wearing looked very Catwomanish, and she's wearing a mask. I said it wasn't going to be long until Selena dons a mask, and I kind of like it that neither of them was the first. Her and Bruce both sort of put masks on around the same time, and it wasn't like one got the idea from the other. They both kind of came at it at the same time. So yeah, it's been a long time since I enjoyed Gotham this much. I Gotham this week is the best episode of the week. 5 stars out of 5. Very rarely do I give 5 stars to Gotham to a Gotham episode. I think maybe this might be the third time. There's usually like maybe one episode a season. I think there was another one in the second season that was good, an episode. I can't remember right now, but yeah. So if you haven't checked out Gotham, if that's not really your cup of tea, you might like this one. Who knows? This is a pretty good episode, I thought. We've got one more show to cover here in the waning moments of the show. Bad season debut for Macgyver. Macgyver season 2 opened up with not a really good picture, but I can't find too many Macgyver pictures on the internet. Okay. Um, I got a very brief review here. I don't have too many notes for this one, but the thing is, I don't really remember the end of last season too well because it's been so long, and I got so many other shows that I watch, as you are well aware now with all the shows we're going to be covering. Um, Bozer apparently was injured last season. I remember that now. He was shot or something, and he was in the hospital. I remember that, and he got out of the hospital in this episode. Murdoch is on the loose. That was one of my complaints about the show. You can find my sort of season wrap up uh, video. It's one of my live videos. It's got the Luke Cage image on front because I was talking about Luke Cage. It's not a well produced video because I had a lot of trouble with the audio on that one. So apologies. But if you want to hear about last season on Macgyver, my thoughts on it, you can check that one out. Um, so Murdoch's on the loose. That's what I said I didn't like about the season. Last season is he got caught. He was in it once. He got caught, and then he just kept reoccurring as a you know Hannibal Lecter type character, where they just come to him and say, we need help, and he's like, "What are you gonna do for me?" And it just got old, to be honest with you, because Murdoch was never that character. Murdoch was always the one that Macgyver couldn't bring in. He always escaped. He always escaped death. He always cheated death. He always looked like he was going to be killed, and he always came back. That was one of the great things about Macgyver. So the story basically, Macgyver saves Alan Moore. Alan Moore, not really. Um, a POW, I guess, or something, and they go over there to find him with a British babe, I guess, and she joins the team. She's going to be a team member now, which I'm not sure if I like the idea of that. You already got a hot babe on the show with Riley, so I don't really see adding her to the show is going to be anything other than just trying to saddle Macgyver with a love interest. And if they were going to do that, keep Nikki on the show, because they wrote her out as sort of an off again, on again, recurring character that he had a romantic past with. So I don't really know how that's going to go. Yeah, we'll see. Um, so the interesting subplot here is Macgyver's dad is apparently on the run. They're still trying to find him, and he's going from like state or country to country, but he's just hopping around, and Mac can't find him. He found his dad's watch with his baby picture inside or something, and leads you to believe that they're getting closer. Not sure exactly where they're going with this. I think they're just stalling for time, hoping that Richard Dean Anderson will agree to appear on the show, and I would love to see him appear on the show as Mac's dad. I don't know if they have any plans whatsoever with him. I'm saying I don't know if he's agreed to this and they're just building up to it. I think they're just keeping it as a pot boiler until they can get Richard Dean Anderson on the show and hope that he says yes. And if not, they'll probably just either drop the plot line or just cast another actor, maybe. But this show hasn't gone out of its way to bring in old cast members. Um, they could bring back Bruce McGill as another character, maybe as this Jack Dalton's father. That would be interesting. Oh, I don't know if they could get back Terry Hatcher, but she's basically a television actress. I mean, she was just on Supergirl last year. Bring her back as Penny Parker. I don't know whatever happened to Alyssa Davos. Always liked her as Nikki. Bring her in, I say. Unfortunately, Dana Elkar is no longer with us. But that's what's interesting about the CW shows like Supergirl, where they got actors from Smallville coming in. They've got actors from Lois and Clark coming in. So it's interesting, you know, to see if they could do that. I would like them to do that. As far as the story went, I thought it was fun. It was enjoyable. I got a kick out of it. As a season opener, it was fun. You know, I don't know. I would give it, I guess, I'd say 4.5 stars out of 5 as a season opener, as how it goes. I mean, the show kind of, it worked on me. I mean, I'm getting more and more used to it now. I mean, I always liked the lead actor here playing MacGyver. Of course, I'm gonna blank on his name when I'm in the middle of the review, but I always liked him as MacGyver. I think the show is tightening up a little bit more. You're getting a little bit more camaraderie with, Jack Dalton and Bozer and uh, Tristan May's character. I'm starting to blank on her name too. Riley, that's right. But they all work out very well together, and that's why I said I don't think they should monkey with the don't monkey with the business, to quote Duran Duran. Just keep it the way it is. Bring Murdoch back, and hopefully bring Nikki back in a recurring role, so that we're not through with her. And I still say bring back a member of the Thornton family to redeem the Thornton name. I say Thornton, and they probably don't want to make him the boss because now they've got Maddie as the boss. But at least have a character named Peter Thornton come into the show. That's what I say. All right, so that is our week in comic book TV. Oh, I have to mention, this did just cross my mind, but it was, it's always fun seeing the inventions that MacGyver makes and so on and so forth. But I gotta say that green screen for the car chase was so bad. I don't point out things like that too often because I'm like, well, look, you got a TV budget, don't, what do you expect from them? But the funny thing is there were a lot of times on the original MacGyver where he was hanging outside of a car or something, and it looked so much better than this, and that was in the 1980s. So I was like, really, you gotta put something together. I mean, just get a stretch of long open road and you just get a car, drive 10 miles an hour down the street and just take it. Don't try that green stuff again. It's terrible. Anyway, so that is our Johnny Torch broadcast for this week, where we take a look at this week in comic book television. Please join us again next time because we're going to try to do this every week. Like I said, I can't make any promises how often I can get to all these shows. I'm going to watch them all, but I don't know at what level I can review them all, like I did here, where I spent basically 45 minutes just reviewing each episode in detail. When we have like 12 shows going to be out, I don't know to what extent I can review them other than to just say a couple of brief thoughts. But this week is going to be fun because we've got the CW shows coming back: Supergirl, Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, and Arrow. I believe in that order. And Riverdale, I guess, is coming back too. I'm not sure. I'll probably talk about the season opener of that too. Like I said, if something's going to go, it's probably going to be Riverdale. I don't know if I can cover everything, but that's fun. Make sure you check out my latest classic horror review that I just put up yesterday. This time we're tackling Frederick March's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Very popular film. That's a classic. The classic horror reviews are part retrospective. I don't want to put that in the title because it makes it too long, but um, it's a retrospective. We talk about the creation of the movie, the director a little bit, and the actors, and um, the story's place in cinema. So it's fun. Of course, that's one of my favorite horror movies. Certainly my favorite version of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Also, you want to check out my Twitter page and the link in the description below. We always got a lot of stuff going on there. I got to put up another poll. I haven't put up a poll in a couple of weeks because, quite frankly, nothing's come to mind. But with all these shows coming out now, I'm sure we'll be able to get something going. Going to be going to the coming up pretty soon. Yeah, that's coming up. I wanted to remind you folks about it. But just Google the Mice Expo. You'll find it, and I'll be there, God willing, to sell some copies of Bullets Bourbon. I've got a bag full of goodies that I'm gonna be giving some stuff away, selling some stuff, some one of a kind artwork that I'm going to be autographing, limited to 25 pieces. So you want to make sure you get some of that, and just lots more goodies that I'm going to give away. All right, so with that said, happy Columbus Day weekend to you one and all. And remember, this is Johnny Torch reminding you, keep the flame burning brightly, and I'll be with you again real soon.